Okay, welcome to my September TBR reading vlog. I just got home yesterday from my very last summer travels, and oh my goodness, it is so good to be home. I spent literally all of the rest of the day yesterday and all of today unpacking, cleaning my room, doing like 6 loads of laundry. I pulled out the vacuum for the first time in a while, cleaned my bathroom, went and got myself a new planner and wrote all up in it and started planning out my September. It is currently September 19th, so a little bit late for the September planning, but I feel like I haven't even seen a bit of September at all because I spent literally the whole first 2 weeks on a cruise and with family, and I didn't have any service at all. And so that part of September is just completely removed from my brain. So now I am back in September, and I have, how many days are in September? 30? I have 11 days to get through the September TBR, which is way more than I've had for any other month in the past 6 months. And it's so nice because I actually have some dedicated reading time. I have my first wedding of the fall season tomorrow, and I have another one next weekend. But literally Sunday through Friday, both weeks, I have nothing planned except for working, reading, and just getting back into the swing of things. So I did promise in my last reading vlog, monthly reading vlog, that it would get better because summer was atrocious. And so I will be spending the rest of September getting through this TBR, working on some other reading vlogs that I've been working on behind the scenes as well, and then catching back up on the summer TBRs that I never quite finished. Like, I still have several from last month. I still have 3 books from last month that I never got to, so I definitely intend to be playing a bit of catch up for a little while, but I feel really confident about September. Especially because on my drive yesterday, I already got started on one of my books for this month, and September is Latinx Heritage Month, and the one I was really looking forward to is the 3rd book in Alexis Daria's Primas of Power series. It's her final book. I've loved this series. I have the first 2 books. I got them signed in an independent bookstore in New York, and I love the series so much. I've patiently been waiting for this 3rd book to come out, and so I started listening to it, and I literally just I could not stop. I listened to it as I was unpacking and doing laundry yesterday, and I'm listening to it all of today. It starts out really spicy. I wasn't expecting that from this series. I should have, though. I should have. It's been a little while since I read the other 2, like 2 years, but I remembered enough of it that I didn't feel a need to go back and reread them. But anyway, this one opens up with our 3rd Prima of Power. She's like the perfect cousin that everyone kind of looks up to. Everyone loves her in the family because she's like, she just fulfills all of their expectations of her until she gets a divorce, and it's like the end of the world for her family. It's like the end of the world for her life too, because she crafted this whole life around this man and like the perfect life, and it obviously wasn't perfect for her. And so we open up with her on like the day that her divorce is finalized, and she's like, no, I want to be a new Ava. I want new things. I want to be this new person. I don't want to be held back by this part of my life. And I want to claim my own life. And so she goes to a bar while she's at a teacher conference, and there she meets this suave, handsome, really lovely 40-year-old man. Both these people are older. I love that her protagonists are much older. And they just hit it off, and they end up having just the absolute most perfect night together. But she's like, look, I don't want any feelings, I don't want any attachments, like I just want this to be like a new thing. Like, I've never done a one-night stand before, like this is new for me. But it just hits off so well. And then we go through the rest of the book, in which it's also dual point of view, which worked so well in this book. It worked so well in this book because we saw that he was just obsessed with her and like wanted to see her all the time, but was just like holding himself back because all he wants is for her to like speak what she wants, and like and is just like obsessed with providing it for her. And on her side, she's like, no, I don't want to. I'm my own person, like I don't need this man. And so we see him like 10 steps ahead, because it turns out he is a multi-millionaire who owns the hotel and all these other businesses, but he started out very poor, and so he's a very down-to-earth, very rich guy who like solves everyone's problems before letting them solve it. And so he has his own kind of side that he's working on, and over here she is like, no, I don't want it, I don't want it. So this book is going so well so far. I'm really, really loving it. It is way spicier than I was anticipating, but I am loving it because the spice is so good. He just wants to please her and like have her become like speak her own feelings, and it's just, oh, it's so good, it's so good. So I'm quite happy with that. I did pick out a book for Guinea-Bissau, which is my randomly chosen country of the month, and I do need to watch some YouTube videos for this country and the last country, and I need to find this book. And then I still have my priority TBR, continuous series, and physical TBR. So I think for continuous series, I am going to continue the Legendborn cycle because I'm finally like home for it, and I would really love to do that. Otherwise, I probably will continue with the Ascendant series just because I love listening to those books and they're so quick and easy. But I think for this vlog, I will most likely continue the Legendborn cycle. But I think tonight I'm exhausted, absolutely exhausted. So I think tonight what I'm going to do is pick another book off of my physical TBR or my priority TBR and have that be the book that I'm continuing right now. So let's see. I don't know if you can tell, but these are my priority TBR books right here. Let's see, can you tell? I don't have a screen on this camera, so I have no clue what you see. This is the year I really wanted to get back into like the OG book talk books that I've never read before, but I'm not feeling them right now. That would be From Blood and Ash, Shadow and Bone, and The Cruel Prince. I really want to get to them, just not right now. I don't think I have the brain capacity currently for the Atlas 6, hopefully this fall. I'm not ready for The Commitment that is City and Bones. Morgan Is My Name is a contender. Babel, I'm not ready for it mentally. The Fifth Season, I'm not ready for it mentally. I could do a Drop of Venom, but I'm not feeling YA right now, even though I just said I'm going to read Legendborn. I think that's like the most I can handle right now. I could do The Kiss of Deception. I'm not ready for The Prior of the Orange Tree. That's not happening right now. I'm not ready for Outlander. Belladonna, even though it is YA, I could see myself reading that right now. The Starless Sea, not ready for it right now. When the Moon Hatched, not ready for it right now. And If We Are Villains, not ready for it right now. So, what are the three I said? Let's see. So this is a POV about Morgan Le Fay, which is Arthurian, and I have been wanting to read it, and because now I'm reading Legendborn, I'm also super into it, but I just started, I used to listen to this podcast called the Myths and Legends podcast, and I loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And he did a ton of King Arthur stuff, but it's been a few years, so I've forgotten everything. So I went back and re-downloaded all the King Arthur episodes because I want to know the lore behind, why am I still wearing this? I wanted to know the lore behind all of the Round Table tales, and I really love the way that he explains them. So I think I want to wait until I'm a bit further into those podcasts before I pick this one up. Look, these pages are so yellow. I think I got this in a little free library. I don't know what this is about, but it is, oh crap, it is a series. House of Morgan. Is this also Arthurian? Oh my god, that sounds so good. But this book is actually way more, look, it's like stuck together. This book is way more weathered than I thought it was. Uh-oh. Oh, I got it for $2 at Goodwill. Let's see if I might be able to find that on audio. Well, it says about a 4 weeks wait, so that might come in on time. Yeah, I think I get really distracted by, yeah, this is definitely water damaged. Oh no. Okay, well, that's tragic. I've had this for years. Okay, and then Belladonna. I've been wanting to read this for I had to get the sticker off. I've been wanting to read this for so long, but I kept putting it off because I wanted to read her other series first. I'm just like a completionist that way, that I have to do everything in order. But I think I'm starting to let go of that, which is good. Because I am a psycho when it comes to reading books and reading authors' backlists entirely in order. I've gotten a lot better at that this year, just because of the sheer amount of books that I want to read. So I think I'm going to start this tonight, which is not really what I had planned. I thought I was going to pick another, oh my god, this is not coming off well. I thought I was going to pick another TBR book, but this feels right. This feels right. And you know what? Maybe 2 YA books is going to feel like too much for me right now, and that's just my own prerogative. Oh my god, that came off so bad. But, oh well. I'm just so excited to be home and to have my library at my fingertips again and to be able to pick up whatever book I want. So if I'm not feeling this in the moment, I'm gonna put it back down. But it's already 11:20 at night, and I am forcing myself to go to bed at midnight because I have a wedding tomorrow. Oh, and now the front is all weird and sticky. Well, that's really annoying. Okay, I am gonna go start reading this, and I will tell you my thoughts in the morning, probably. Okay, I think I knew that this was a love story between her and Death, but, I'm on page 13. They've just finally started talking, and he says, he says her name, and she's like, "Don't say my name upon Death's tongue, it sounds like a curse." And he responds with, "Your name is no curse, little bird. I just like the taste of it." Huh? Ah! Okay, I got to page 41 last night, so I read the first 4 chapters of Belladonna, and I'm really liking it. I was so shocked by the little bird comment that I had to get out of bed and film that. But otherwise, I'm really liking the start of this. It's definitely an older YA, which is what I was really hoping for, and I'm loving it. I don't feel like she's talking down to us, but I do feel like our main girly, Signa, is still a young adult. Like, she's still learning herself, and she's brash, but she's also so intelligent, and she's learning things on her own. And I love how fascinating Death is with her. So I'm really excited. Clearly I've only gone just a little bit. They are, she's now on her way to the family's house where I think the bulk of this book is from. So I think the next page they like arrive. So I wanted to, that was a good stopping point for me. I also, this morning, as I was getting ready for my wedding today, I ended up finishing the Primas of Power book. Why can I not remember the name? I literally just read it. Anyway, I'm solidly giving this a 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really loved how our main girly was, like, it was obvious that she took more time to come to terms with her feelings and to understand them, and that he understood that, and that he was like, all right, I'm you know, a month into dating or whatever, like the day that they're dating, he's gonna ask her to marry her, like, just to get her to hold his hand, because like he has to go extreme, and then so that she'll like take step 1, but then it also like puts it in her mind because he knows he'd never think of it anyway, so that like it takes her time to like get to that moment. So the fact that he understood her so well was just, oh, amazing. Again, like, he had a lot of personality, but I did want a little bit more from his side. I didn't fully understand why he was so obsessed with her, and I kind of get it, because it's just like how the rom-com genre works, how romance genres work, in which like the guy is just utterly obsessed with her, but like I didn't fully like believe it. Like, I believed it on page that he was obsessed with her, but I didn't fully understand why. It was just like he saw her in a bar and he was like, I'm obsessed with her. And I'm like, okay. I guess a lot of people like probably don't need more than that, but I think I need a little bit more than that. I need a little bit more of a build-up than what was kind of given to us. But otherwise, loved it. Actually, one more qualm. She is the biggest people pleaser ever, and it's a big part of her personality, but it's not part of my personality, and so I had a really hard time understanding why she just let everyone walk all over her repeatedly. And so, you know, the big moment in which she, you know, combats this, or unwillingly, I guess, it combats her more like, and then they, you know, they have all this conflict resolution. It was really earned, like she really needed it, but I just like, personally, I never ever would have let it even get a modicum of that far. So I had a little bit of a hard time. I don't know, I felt bad for her, but I also kind of didn't, being like, girly, like, you let it get so bad. So those are really like the main critiques. Otherwise, I really loved this book. It is a solid series. I highly recommend it. I do really want to get this third one in paperback. Hopefully I can get it signed like the rest, because I definitely see myself rereading this series in the future. But now, I need to go to my wedding. I'll probably listen to an audiobook on the way there. I don't know if it's gonna be part of my TBR, probably not. So I guess I will see you either tonight after my wedding, if I have enough energy to keep reading Belladonna, or tomorrow. Okay, it's now Sunday. The wedding was yesterday. It went really well, but as always, the day after weddings, I am just knocked out. I'm absolutely exhausted. I got to read a little bit of Belladonna last night as I was downloading all of my photos from the wedding yesterday, but this book started getting way creepier than I was expecting, and I am not one of those people that likes scary stories, and I was like, you know what, I'm so dead tired that like if I have nightmares all night, I'm gonna be pissed, because I need like a lot of sleep after weddings. So I ended up putting the book down and doing some doom scrolling instead, and then this morning I woke up and I started going through all the wedding photos, and so I went through about half of them, and then I got tired, so I ended up just lying down in bed and picking back up Belladonna, and I'm now on page 110, so chapter 14, and like I said, this book is way darker than I was expecting, but not like bad. I just wasn't expecting it. It's pretty gory. Our main girlie can see ghosts, and now that she has arrived at her family member's estate, the ghost of the dead mother is haunting her, and in a really creepy way. And Adalyn Grace is doing a great job of proving, showing exactly how disturbingly graphic her death is, and how it's haunting our main girlie. And I just got to the point where she finally confronts her ghost where she's buried and learns that the mother was poisoned, so she thinks she's been murdered. And this isn't a spoiler because it's on the back of the book, but we just got to that point, and now I'm like locked in. Like I already have some theories. They're probably not going to be correct because with each chapter we're learning more. Like we just learned that there is way more to our main girlie's powers than she thinks, and so I really can see this book going literally anywhere, so I am in it. Okay, I am now 210 pages in, so I think I'm at just about the halfway mark, and the only update I can tell you is that I love Death. I absolutely love him. He's just a lonely little sad emo boy, and I love him. But then otherwise, now that it's turned into a murder mystery, I usually try to solve things as I go along, but I genuinely have no clue who it is, which is really exciting especially in a YA book like this. I have a few theories, but I'm really unconvinced across the board. Usually at this point we've met the murderer and we just don't know it's them yet, so I really can see the murderer being quite literally any of the characters, but I really have like not a single leading theory, so this is going really well so far. Oh, okay, I think something's happening. Something's happening. I'm at the very end. I'm very close to the end, and I think this would answer so many questions. It makes so much sense. Oh my goodness, hold on back. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to reread this whole freaking book. No! Oh, yeah, but that makes a lot of sense. Hold on, I'm gonna have to read this whole freaking book again. Gosh dang it. Oh, I should have known. Damn. That's the end. I always read the acknowledgements, always. Okay, it's a little while later. Let's talk about Belladonna. I think, to be honest, my expectations for this were just a little bit too high. I've been wanting to read this book for literally years. I've seen it on so many people's suggested lists. I think it's just been really hyped up for me, and so I went into it with really high expectations, and although I love the idea of this book in which a girl can see death and she has this kind of relationship with him, and is kind of turn into a murder mystery aspect of it. I really love the idea of it, but I think the execution wasn't my favorite. In the beginning, I felt like it thankfully wasn't a very juvenile book, but the more I got into it, the more and more juvenile it became, and the more juvenile Signa became, because she's going through life seemingly for the first time. She just acts like a really dumb teenager, and she's 19 in this book, but she acts like she's 15 in the way that, you know, and I don't blame her at all, because she hasn't really had any friends ever. But the way she just like throws herself into all these situations without thinking for like 2 seconds about the repercussions, or even better yet, she thinks of the repercussions and then like a second later she goes, nah, it doesn't matter, and then like goes in anyway. She has these like seriously rose-tinted glasses on about life, even though at this point like her spirit should have been dampened. Like, I don't understand how she's still so innocent in the ways of people and relationships, and just has like such an idealized version of events. I just don't understand how after like years of literally like familial abuse, how she remains to be this like very starry-eyed young woman. So it was very interesting for her to kind of start to dip her toes into society and into relationships, but at the same time I feel like she kind of learned really quickly in rather not in the best way that the life she's been dreaming of for all these years isn't what she wants. And I feel like she was more so like, I feel like we didn't really give her a chance to even enjoy the things. You know, she was at her very first tea ever and she immediately is like, I don't like this, I'm stressed out. And then she gets to her second tea ever and she's still immediately stressed out, and she's like, maybe this lifestyle isn't for me. And so after a very shallow pool of experiences, all the while like being haunted by a ghost and trying to figure out a murder and trying to keep her cousin alive, like she's in a very stressful situation, she just very starts to quickly realize that this society life isn't for her, even though it's like her only first foray into the world. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with Death, and I love him as a character, I really, really do, but I feel like he even said it a few times that he's been waiting an eternity for her, and I do love those lines about how, you know, he's never been able to like speak and touch a living person before. And so I feel like she just went from being this super naive, inexperienced young girl to suddenly just throwing away all of her hopes and dreams because of this like really wonderful character. I really do like him. But I did find myself very frustrated with how quickly she seemed to forget everything else except for him, but at the same time still not fully accepting her lot in life if she were to choose him. She just kind of throws herself into it, saying like, yeah, I do understand you know, the consequences of this action, but like she doesn't, she literally doesn't. I did find myself finding a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies, particularly for the timeline. I am super sensitive when it comes to the timeline of a story, and there were a couple instances, there was even one time towards the beginning where she was like, yes, I've been here for a month, but the day I arrived was 2 days ago. And I was like, what? Like, that stuff pisses me off to absolutely no end. And so that happened a few times throughout this book where she would be like, yes, the weeks have gone by, but I've actually only known these people for 6 days. And I'm like, no, what? Pick one. So that really threw me off every time. I really did enjoy how much I didn't know who the killer was. Usually I have a pretty good guess, but I really didn't know, and I was so convinced in my theories about halfway through that I knew like who this person's parentage was, I guess is the way I'll say it. Like, I knew that there was a coupling that happened, but I completely inaccurately guessed who the person was. And so when the big reveals came, that's when I turned on the camera towards the end, because I was like, oh my god, I think this is being revealed to me in the way that I didn't see it until about a page ago, kind of thing. And so I really love that all of these all of these things. I kept saying, I should have seen this, because I really should have. It was very obvious, but I just wasn't looking for it because I was so focused on trying to figure out who the killer was that there were these two other very large questions that I didn't realize I should have been answering until I got pretty close to them being revealed. And then I was like, oh my god, no, I think this is what's happening. And even one of the two, I was completely wrong. So I really, really did enjoy that part of the book, that it actually threw me off. Yeah, it's not very often that a book can surprise me that well. The way this book ended leaves me incredibly excited for the second book, and I think I will dive into that one way sooner rather than later. I'm really excited to see where we go from here, because there's still a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of things that characters just don't question. Like, people just straight up disappear in this book and nobody's questioning anything. And I'm like, okay, I know it's not her debut book. I know she has other books that were out there. So I find myself wondering how these plot holes were able to survive for so long. A lot of them were later on explained in the book. That a lot of questions I had were thankfully explained by the two mysteries I didn't know I was supposed to be solving, but still a lot of them are still there, and I just don't know. I feel like this book wrapped itself up very well, and the next book is going to be an entirely new thing, so I feel like the plot holes that I found in this book are going to remain there forever, and that bothers me. Okay, I do have a few spoilery things that I want to talk about, so if you would like to not hear, please skip ahead to this time right here, because I need to get these off my chest. I don't know anybody else in my life who has read these books, so please skip ahead. I need to talk it out. I need to talk it out. The first mystery that I thought I had solved, I knew at that point that the governess and the father had a child, but I was convinced that it was Silas. I was utterly convinced it was him, because he like refused to be around them, and he had such nice clothing, and he was very outspoken, and I was like, obviously, like, he's the son of the Lord, and like, or whatever this rich guy's name is, and like that's why he's able to do all those things, and like he's sticking around like waiting, and then I was like, maybe he did kill them, like, I don't know. So I knew that they had an affair, they had a child. It threw me through, like, it got to the page where it was about to be announced who the child was, and I was like, yeah, and it's Silas, and then the next line was, it's Percy, and I was like, huh? It totally flew over my head that the governess had red hair. Like, that should have been a major sign for me. I completely forgot about that fact. So I knew they had a child. I didn't realize it was Percy. I really thought it was Silas. And then for the murder mystery part of it, I also could have seen any of the characters. Like, I also thought it was the governess for a good long while, but then as soon as she accused her, I was like, damn it, it's not her. Like, it's too soon. I really wanted it to be Byron because he was an asshole and he hit her, but of course it wasn't, because he's the obvious choice. So like I said, there's so few characters that we had met at that point that I entertained the idea that it was Percy, but I let go of it because he seemed really, really concerned about his sister's health. And because when we got to the reveal about why he did it, it was the most lukewarm reasoning ever. Like, like, his reasoning, his evil monologue sucked. That yes, he meant to poison his real birth mother so that he could save the family, but accidentally somehow poisoned his real mother, and instead of like helping her, he decided to be like, you know what, I'm all in now, and like continued to poison her over months. What? And then his reasoning for bringing his father back to him would be to poison and kill his own sister, and that somehow that would make him give like his father the family business. Like, it makes literally no sense. It like actually no sense, which is why for the 30 seconds that I entertained that it couldn't be him, I was like, no, he has no motive to kill his sister. What would that accomplish? And even when he's telling us the motive, it makes no sense. So I'm not happy with Percy being the killer. I wish that like he'd been like, yeah, and ever since my sister, encouraged dad to sell the business, like, this is my revenge on her, like, something. Like, this poor innocent sister was brought into it for no reason by this actual psychopath. So that pissed me off. But I am quite happy. I was concerned there for a second when Death gave Sigma the choice. He was like, all right, you can either let him go and, survive and go by trial and be hanged, or you can kill him now and give his years to the sister. sister. And I, for a second there, thought she was going to fall into the YA trap and be like, no, I'm too good and pure for this. Like, I can't go against the natural order of things. And then she was like, nah, let's kill him. I was like, yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. That made me really happy. Okay, and then the other thing that I really want to talk about is the love story. So I did not see coming that Death is also Silas. I did not see that coming until like a page beforehand, when he's like trying to get her out, when he's trying to get her out of the garden, and Lillian, the ghost mom, was like, do with him what you will. That was the line that I was like, oh my god, like duh. That's when I came and turned the camera on, because I was like, oh my god, I think they're about to reveal that Silas is Death. And then that's when I was like, I should have seen it coming. They're obviously like are never in the same room at the same time. Like they had both the same like flirty banter style. I just didn't understand. I was like, wow, everyone's the flirty banter, because that's just like what people like nowadays. It's very tropey. But I didn't realize they had the same flirty banter style because they're the same person. But the other reason why I thought Silas was going to be the killer was because Signa chose Death really quickly. Like she went from being angry at him and being scared of him into like falling in love with him really, really quickly, to the point where I was like, all right, they set up this love triangle. They resolved it really quickly. Like halfway through the book, I was like, there's absolutely no way. Like Silas must be like a red flag then. Like he must be the killer, and like that's why we resolved this love triangle so quickly. So that's also why I thought it was him. But truly on the thought train that that she got with Death too quickly, when I tell you, I was reading it in bed when like the first time they dilly-dallied and his like shadows were like going up her skirts. The way I literally like threw the book away and was like, what is happening? What is happening? What is happening? Because it felt so quick. It felt so soon. Obviously Death has been waiting millennia for her, but like she just like she didn't like him yet. Like she didn't like, there was no like, I get that he's been watching her for years. I get that he loves her. Like I understand from his point of view, but from her point of view, she just sounds and like acts like an petulant teenager that is just like oh, she has this inner monologue. She was like, man, I just want to have sex. Like she says that like all the time. And I'm like, girly, you are in a Regency era. Like you are in a society that you cannot just go around and fuck the first person that you want to know, because you will never recover. Society is just the way society is at that point. Like, yeah, screw that, but seriously, like it's important. So the fact that like the first time it happened, I was like, I could not, like, I would read a sentence and I'd be like, I felt uncomfortable because I was like, oh my god, it's too soon. Like, it's too soon. I wish they had like been friends for like months or years at that point. But again, with the weird timeline, it didn't really feel like that long. Like, I think this whole book took place between like August and December, January, maybe. Like, I think that was the whole plotline of the book's like maybe 6 months, and personally that's not long enough for like an immortal deity type figure and a 19-year-old for my personal taste. I was absolutely rooting for them 100%. But the second time they dilly-dallied and they actually fucked in the woods, I was like, holy crap, this is so soon. Also, you've been waiting a millennium for her and you can't like come up with a nice, like bring her to a nice bed and like a nice house kind of thing. Like, you gotta in the woods. Oh my god, it just gave me the I was reading it and I was like, look, I'm rooting for you, but like, oh, not this way, not like this. And then to not only take her virginity and make her obsessed with you, because she has an obsessive personality. I have one of those. I understand what it's like. She has no other thoughts now besides of death. She has thrown all of her dreams of tea parties and balls out the window now just to become a reaper, right? To at the very end be like, yeah, by the way, now that we're together, we can't actually be together now because death doesn't surround you anymore. So like, we'll meet again on and off, but like, go live your life. What? What are you talking about? What do you mean? Oh my god, that pissed me off so bad. And I know he said it earlier, like that's why I can show up so much, because like death is like really big in the manor right now. But to end it that way, like right before they have sex again, like in the epilogue kind of end, in the very end, he's like, yeah, it's been nice knowing you, but you should go live. What is she supposed to do with that? what is she, like, you're soulmates. She's not gonna go off and live by, like, finding a suitor. Like, that is what societally will expect of her. Like, she's not gonna do that. And if she does try to do that, you're gonna come into her life again. And obviously it does happen at the end of the book when when this guy dies. That's gonna be interesting. So, like, is she just like personally, the first time he said that, like, I can only be around you if you're always surrounded by death, I was like, perfect, girly, go work in a hospital, go work in a morgue, like, go live by a cemetery. Like, that will fix that problem. Like, that way you can always be together because you will always be surrounded by death. Like, it's not that hard. So is she just gonna become a detective now? Like, is that the way she's going to stay around her? I don't know, but that line pissed me off. Like, oh, now that I've taken your virginity and, like, your love and your promise of forever, like, peace, like, I'll see you next time. What? All right, yeah, I had a lot to get off my chest. I keep waffling between 4 stars because I feel so passionately about this book and I really love the vibes and a lot of the things that happen in the book, and 3.75 because a lot of the book still pissed me off and there was still a lot that just, like, could have been better. So I don't know, we'll see what this ends up being, but somewhere around that ballpark. I really thought it was going to be a 5 stars and I should have known better. I don't give out that many 5 stars. I am thoroughly looking forward to the rest of the series though. I have heard nothing whatsoever about the second book, and I've heard a little bit about the third book because I think the third book follows somebody else and that it's either everyone's least favorite or their favorite. So I don't know. That's all I know. There's even a while there where I was like, I should get rid of this book because I'm never going to read it again. But then I had that moment where everything was revealed and I was like, ah, crap, I can't get rid of it. maybe someday, but not today. Okay, well, that sure checks off priority TBR. That means we're 2 out of 6 so far this month. It is the 20-something of September. I don't even know. Let's see what we have left that we need to do. I still have books from August I need to read, but we're gonna ignore that for now. I could pick up another Latinx Heritage Month, but I honestly have so many other vlogs going on right now that I don't think I can handle it. So I may be putting these 2 books back on the shelves, even though I am really desperate to read them both. So I think I'm gonna check off Latinx Heritage Month, which leaves us with my Guinea-Bissau book, which is on my Kindle. I need to continue a series, and I need to pick another book off the physical TBR. See, I have other books, but they are for other vlogs that I'm doing right now, so I can't pick those up currently. Okay, I have literally 500 books behind me that I could do, but I think the one I want to do most right now is one that I got pretty recently, and that would be Smoke and Scar by Gretchen Powell Fox. I got this super recently at Once Upon a Con. I met the author. She is so fun. And I read the first couple chapters and loved it. So I knew I really wanted to continue this, especially ahead of the second book's release. Oh, but am I in the mood? I don't know. What am I in the mood for? I really loved the Regency vibes of that last book. Do I continue with that? I am this close to just, like, making a 500 pronged wheel so I don't have to decide. I also have my next Sabrina Jeffries book that's been waiting for me for like 2.5 years. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Another Regency mystery. Oh, I think this is it. It's been too long since I read a Regency romance, and I've decided I'm gonna make a damn wheel of all my books. Oh, I love insignificant side tasks like that can distract me from my actual workload. I just read the prologue of What the Duke Desires, and oh my goodness, we are thrown straight into the story. It starts in 1816 when our main female character is 14 years old, and she and her older brother are the illegitimate children of a French actress and a British viscount. And this viscount has been married and he has 2 older legitimate sons, and in recent years his wife has died, and so now his mistress has just been waiting for him him to marry her and make them legitimate. But they're waiting for the French-British War to end, and now it has ended a year ago, and he still hasn't done anything about marrying her. And so our main female character, even at the ripe age of 14, is like, I don't think he's gonna do it. And so we open up with her and her mother being like, where is my brother? What is going on? And they're worried because he hasn't come back from his hunting trip with their father yesterday, because he is a very involved father. He does love them very much. And they get a knock on the door, and it's the younger of the two legitimate heirs. The younger one has always treated them like a brother. He's really nice. The older one has always hated the family. He's a vindictive asshole. Outwardly and very obviously hates that whole family. Meanwhile, the younger brother has a heart and has always treated them like siblings. And so he knocks on the door, and he's like, where is your brother? We need to find him. And the daughter and the mother are like, we have no idea what's going on. And so he explains what happened yesterday during the hunting trip is that the father's gun exploded, and the shrapnel like went straight into his heart, and thankfully there was a groom that was there with the illegitimate son, and the two of them got him to the manor. And unfortunately, he was on his deathbed. He was actively dying. And so what happened, according to the brother that arrives right after this conversation, the father makes a new will that now bequeaths the little cottage that they've always lived in to the mistress, because he has been taking care of her all these years. He gives the illegitimate son his prized stallion, and he gives this daughter all of his trinkets from his travels, because he's a huge traveler, explorer type figure. And he also includes the younger legitimate son on this will. And so as he's on his deathbed, he has his older legitimate son, the asshole, there, and his older illegitimate son, and they're both there as he dies. But as soon as the Viscount dies, the older heir, the legitimate one, grabs the will and throws it into the fire and destroys it. And so that night, the illegitimate brother goes and he steals the horse that was given to him, and he goes and sells it for a ton of money because he knows that his family is fucking screwed. And so he took what he thought was rightfully his. And so now, the next morning, the older legitimate son, who is now the new Viscount, is using this as a literal manhunt for this family that he hates. He is out there to find the older brother, because in this age, stealing a horse is a hanging offense. And so he has gathered the whole town on a manhunt for this illegitimate son. And so the younger legitimate brother has come, and he's like, we need to find him and we need to get him out of here. And so this is when the brother shows up, and he explains about the will, and he's like, yeah, I got the horse because it was mine, and then I sold it because we need the money. And so the younger legitimate son is like, okay, we need to get you to France because that's where your mother comes from. You need to get out of here because you're going to be killed. And so he goes and he disappears. And right then is when the older legitimate son and basically the entire town with pitchforks and torches shows up to the cottage. And at first the little sister comes out and she's like, what do you want? And it quickly dissolves into a very aggressive confrontation, because the older brother is like, give me your brother or like you're gonna be evicted. Actually, I'm gonna evict you anyway because this cottage is mine. So he fights off his sister, and he's like, yeah, allegedly, you know, your mother says that you're my sister, but I don't care. So he's like disavowing her of everything. He's kicking her out. Even the mother is like, what are you doing? Like, get out of here. Like, and he's like, nope, you're actually like, you're getting out of here, and I'm gonna find your son and I'm gonna kill him, and you two are evicted off the property with nothing. And the younger legitimate son is there, and he's like, what are you doing? These are your siblings. You need to, like, what do? You can't do this. And the older brother is like, hey, just so you know, you were never in father's will, because he made the will after I was born and he never changed it after you were born. So either you come with me right now and let them be kicked out, or I am gonna kick you, like I'm gonna give you nothing. And even though you're in law school right now, like you're gonna have to drop out because there's no way you can pay for it because you don't have a penny to your name. And so even though the brother was gonna be left penniless, he decided to stick with his sister, his half sister, and the mistress because he knew it was right. So he's a good brother. And the new Viscount is like, all right, well, get the fuck out of here and you're disowned. And so And so now, because they're penniless, they have absolutely nothing, the older brother, or the younger brother, is like, okay, I'm gonna go to the Bow Street Runners because they're smart and they'll take me in. You know, I'll be able to help them. So that's his introduction. I'm sure that's gonna come back into play. And now the younger sister and the mother are going to have to flee back to France where she has family. And oh my god, this made me so angry for so many reasons. Like, yes, I definitely blame the older vindictive brother because he's an absolute asshole, but I absolutely 100% blame the father because he was fucking useless and he didn't put any of them in his will. Like, the younger brother is past the age of 20 and he never changed his will. Like, he was a very, like the text says, he was a very loving, very in it father. Like, he was with them all the time, but he never changed his will. So I 100% blame the father for this mess. And snaps to Sabrina Jeffries because she immediately clocks that. At the very end of the prologue, she says, "That was the trouble with relying on a man to save you. Men were unreliable. Papa, George, even Tristan made matters worse with his anger. Of the important men in her life, only one had always done the right thing. And much as Dom wanted to help, even he could do little more than pack them off to France. Maman had been wrong to place her faith in Papa. All it had gained her was a grief for her and her children." Lisette dashed away fresh tears. Well, she would never be so foolish. The first chance she got, she would make her own way in this world, no matter what it took. She wasn't going through this kind of betrayal ever again. So not only is she immediately recognizing that that's fucking bullshit, but we're set up for a very strong female main character who isn't going to take shit from any man, and I am so excited for that. So now I'm going to go to bed and I'm probably going to read for about an hour, and I am ready to get back into some Regency romance. I don't think I've updated at all today, but I did get a bit into What the Duke Desires last night, and then I read a little bit more after lunch today, and oh my goodness, I'm on page 112, so I finished 5 chapters, and it's just, it's been too long since I've read a Regency romance, but they really know what they're doing. They jump you right into whatever ridiculous situation this couple has gotten themselves into, and the tension is so high right from the jump. These characters in particular are combative in the most argumentative, like, tension-filled way. I love it. Just got to the part where they haven't even spent the first night together yet, but he kissed her, and it's just like, and it's so funny because in his last point of view chapter, he was like, I gotta stay away from her, and then of course, like, her next point of view chapter, like, he kisses her, and it's just like, it's a silly, goofy, fun time, but like, I am eating it up. Like, the tension is so good, the banter is so good, they are outwitting each other at every step. I'm loving this book. I'm having a great time. The only other update from today is that I got a little bit of a book mail. The first one is Beast of the Four Nations. I am the biggest Avatar fan in the entire world, and I have had this pre-ordered for so long, but like, oh my god, I'm dying. Like, I'm literally dying. I cannot wait to read this. Oh my goodness, I am about to go in a couple weeks. I'm going up to Boston to go watch the Avatar in concert for the 3rd time. I watched this show over 20 times in total. Like, I'm mega fan, mega fan, mega fan. That's what I am. If I love something, I just watch that over and over again and anything else. I will definitely have videos about Avatar in the future. I'm thinking a ton of like book recommendation videos based off of like Avatar characters and themes and nations and whatnot. So if you have anything in particular you'd like to have videos about from that, let me know. And then the other book that I got in the mail is this brick of a book that I've been waiting on for so long. I have been a Hermione girly since high school, so it has been over 10 years now, and this is actually going to be featured in an upcoming reading vlog that I have coming out. It is one of these several others that I'm currently filming, and this thing is heavy. I am so excited though. I mean, it's stunning, absolutely stunning book. It's a chonker. I have read its fanfic once. I'll give more context to it in its own video, but oh my goodness, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So that is coming to you soon. But yeah, today I've just been editing videos and editing photos and emailing so many emails. Oh, it's fine. I only have a little bit of editing to go. I'm trying to have my hard cutoff be 11 p.m. every night, turn off my computer and just get in bed and read. And the fact that I'm like itching to get back to this book is such a great sign. Oh, I love it. It's Thursday night, technically 12:52 a.m. So technically it's Friday. But today, well tonight, I had my first video with the new book club and we yapped for 2 hours tonight and it was so wonderful, so wonderful. I love that group and I'm really loving the series we're reading for that. But after that call, I decided that I was in the book mood and I just wanted to sit down and finish What the Duke Desires. And so I've been reading for the past 2.5 hours to finish the second half of this book. And I did finish it and the ending was super satisfactory to me. Everything tied together, all the mysteries were solved, we were all good, but I'm still gonna probably give this a 3-star rating. I really loved our female main character. She was so funny and so strong, and although she kind of caved for him pretty quickly, she overall maintained a good character throughout. I really enjoyed her. Problem was, this whole book took place over like 3 days and of course they fell madly in love within like 12 hours and like it was for nobody else but them. And I hate it when books happen that fast. A lot of these Regency romance books do happen that fast, but this one was like absurdly short in the timeline, especially considering the fact that our main guy pissed me off on multiple occasions where he just like fucked up, either because he said something or like he obviously has a lot of family trauma of his past, but he like reacted pretty aggressively. Like he yelled at her a couple of times. He called her mother a whore a few times because she was a mistress, and he was so weak when it came to like the sexual proclivities of like their time together. They hooked up so early on and he was like, no, I will not take her innocence, I will not take her innocence. And she was like, but please. And he said, okay. I'm like, oh my god, my guy. Yeah, and there were times where like they would be fighting and they fought a lot, but like the first time especially, they would be fighting. Actually, that's how the first kiss happened, and like the first dalliance, I guess, in the carriage where they took it to second base. They were fighting and he was like, she's just fiery, like I know how to quell this. I was like, I don't like this. Every time you're gonna fight, you're gonna like force yourself on her. I didn't like that at all, especially because they fight a lot. So I don't know. I didn't love that. He fixed it in the end, but I don't know. Not my favorite hero for sure. So this one, for my mess paperback romances, I put them into little free libraries about 90% of the time, and the 10% are like my favorites. So if this one is gonna go into a little free library, I no longer need it. But I'm happy because that is the way that these Regency romance books works is that they all take place within the same like universe, and the author will write like a series of 5 and then a series of 4 and then a series of 3 and then a series of 7 and like all of this. So this was actually just the first in her next series of 5, and she has callbacks to past characters, which is really fun to see, even though I remember so very little of them. And so this was the first book out of 5, and of the 5 I own 3 of them, and so now I'm back into my Regency romance era. I will definitely be continuing the series because like I'm in it, and I really want to. She's already hinted at who the other characters are going to be for that, so I will be continuing that series, which leads me into the last 2 things that I have for September's TBR. I just have my Guinea-Bissau book on my Kindle, and then I have Continue a Series. All right, it's another wedding day, so I gotta pack up the camera again. I didn't read at all yesterday afternoon. I did finish off another book, and then I meant to start the second Legendborn book, but I was just too tired because yesterday I actually officially launched my fantasy photography packages. It has been something I've been inching towards for a very long time, and I'm thrilled to finally officially offer them, both part of my main photography business, but then also part of my I created an entirely new Instagram for them, because my main business is weddings and seniors and they don't really mesh well together. So I was finally convinced to go and create my own fantasy photography Instagram. So if you would like to follow along with that, you absolutely can. I am thrilled to be opening this up. It's just, you know, it just lights my soul on fire, and it's giving my spark back to photography, and it's something that I've really needed for a little while now. So thrilled with that. So yeah, no reading done yesterday, but I have about a 45-minute drive to the wedding today and a 45-minute drive back. So I think I'm gonna get a decent way of the way through the Tomes and Tea series from that book. So hopefully I'll get like a third of the way into that today. Alright, it is the next day. The wedding yesterday was amazing. The forecast said rain all day long, and so we didn't really have much hope, but just in time for the ceremony, the rain petered out, and we actually had really nice weather for the entirety of the ceremony, and then it started raining again afterwards, and then we were like, alright, now's our last chance to take newlywed portraits, and so we went back outside, and it stopped raining again. So I'm really happy. The day was awesome. And the whole ride there and the ride back and pretty much all of this morning, I've been listening to Tea You at the Altar, and I'm now up to 55%. I do have to say though, I am a little bored, which is really unfortunate. Basically, this whole book has been one conversation and then another conversation and then another conversation, and I'm finding myself zoning out a lot, which doesn't happen too often when I'm listening to audiobooks, but it's been happening a lot in this one, which is really unfortunate because I'm invested in their story and I want to know what happens and I'm rooting for them. But it's just like, it's a long build-up to the big plot, I guess, of this book that will culminate at their wedding at the end of the week. And so I think this whole book is going to take place over that 1 week leading up to their wedding. But I'm really happy I'm reading it now, so soon after the last book, because all of the characters we've met so far have come back to this book, and so everyone has their own personal history, and there's like a lot of characters in here, so you really have to remember what's going on. But I don't know if I really like it or if I really don't like it, how a lot of the conversations have been about like the religion in this book, in how like half the world worships the stars and nature and like celestial things, and that would be like our mage, or for Queendom citizens, they worship all of these gods. There's like gods for absolutely everything you can think of, and apparently it hasn't really been brought up. Like they'll say like, oh, thank the stars, or oh, thank the gods, but like it didn't really, you know, start anything in my mind until finally in this book they're like, yeah, and our main couples had disagreements about it in the past and they've just like kind of let it go, and it's like one of those things that they just agree to disagree on kind of thing. And so it keeps getting brought up in this book, and so that's not really something I liked at all, really. But then it started going towards like, okay, well maybe we should start questioning these things, and I'm like, okay, interesting. So I'm gonna push through and we'll see how that goes, because I'm either gonna really like that turn of events or I'm just gonna remain a bit uncomfortable by it. And then the second thing in here is that there's a character that they kind of need something from her, but she refuses to do it for many reasons, but one of them is because she doesn't want kids. And I immediately kind of like clocked in and I was like, oh no, like how is this gonna go? Because it can go one of many ways, and as somebody who doesn't want kids, I have gotten every reaction under the sun, and so I was a little nervous. And of course immediately the first reaction of the character was like, okay, but what if you change your mind? Or, you know, when you get older, what if you change your mind? Or, okay, we can just work around this in the future. And I was just like, oh, okay. But then she immediately was like, okay, those were all the wrong things to say, like I shouldn't have said that. But it's still like, Yeah, so I'm not sure if we'll circle around back to that topic or not, because it kind of seemed like a one and done conversation. A bit disappointing, but then it was the like they tried to fix themselves, so we'll see. So it's kind of what this book has been about. It's just been a lot of conversation, a lot of planning and plotting, things being slowly revealed to us, but I'm not sure I'm catching it all because I'm zoning out so many times. So definitely my least favorite of the 3 books so far. But I'm still gonna finish it for sure because I want to get to the 4th book and I want to know what happens in this. So we'll keep going. Today I meant to start Bookmarked, but I did not sleep well at all, and so I decided to scratch all my plans and end up just kind of doing low maintenance work tasks all day today. So the only reading I got to do is my audiobook, and I did finish the 3rd Tomes and Tea book, and it thankfully that whole last portion was a lot of action and everything came together really, really well. Like it tied together very neatly with a bow, and I really like that. Not generally, but I really like the way that this story ended up panning out, because there were some things where I was like, there's no way this is going to be, there's no way this is going to be resolved, but they ended up finding an alternative path that I did really enjoy. So I was very happy with that. And then in the very last like page of the book, I guess, there was a huge plot twist, or like something happened, and so now I am so happy that the next book was just published last month, and I can get right onto that, except for the fact that my audiobook waitlist is like 18 weeks long. So I don't know, I'm hopeful maybe I'll be able to read it next month or maybe the month after that, but I am definitely looking forward to finishing that series out and seeing how, how they end up fixing the problems that are going to arise in this last book. But it is a very, very cozy, lovely, like warm filled book, which for a second there I was like, wait, really, is this cozy? Like it is, but like there's like big plot things happening, but then like when the plot things happened, I was like, nah, this is cozy, we're okay here. Very simple politics. I do think I'm in the mood for some Kindle reading, so I think I might check off my country book, or at least started tonight. It's about 10 o'clock. I normally work until 11, but I am just pooped, so I think I might shut everything off and start reading that. It might be kind of heavy, I might fall asleep, but tomorrow I am hoping to have a really big reading day. Okay, it's actually over an hour later. I sat back at my computer to turn it off and I suddenly had this burst of energy, and so I've actually spent the past like hour and 15 minutes watching videos from Guinea-Bissau. I watched some history videos, try to get the country in context, and then I watched a lot of travel blogger videos as they like walked around Bissau, which is the capital, and they went to markets and they talked to locals and they were given tours by locals. I now feel like I have a much better context going into this book that I'm about to start. At this point, I'm so tired. I will probably read like the first little section, maybe like a couple pages just to get it started, just so I can say that I at least attempted to read part of it today, and then hopefully we'll finish it out tomorrow. Okay, so I just accidentally read the whole thing. I shouldn't be surprised. It's a poetry book. I don't really read poetry. It's been a little while, so I wasn't expecting, like normally for poetry books, I can only read a collection or two, and then like I have to put it down and come back to it, but I actually just like flew through the entire thing. I think I'm just gonna read the brief description of it to give you a better understanding of what it's about. It's better than what I could articulate. So this poetry collection is called Anus Ku Manda, and that translates to We Are in Charge. Yasmina Nuny's debut is as fresh and vital as her performance style. She writes both in English and Creole, her mother tongue, to portray plural and untranslatable existences. Her collection, so powerful, begins with an exploration of her country, Guinea-Bissau, that remains accessible through language and family. Following this welcome into her home, Yasmina offers a more intimate reading of her musings and experiences of love and relationships. The final voice that we find in the collection is a political one, exploring both the trauma and joys of Black womanhood. Anos Manda is defiant, and the experiences it explores are informed by Yasmina's relationship with God. I do want to read you just a few of the ones that I highlighted. Some of them are haikus, and then others are just like fragments of her longer poems, but none of the poems are more than like 4 or 5 pages long, so they're all very short and easy to digest. I'm not much of a talker, but for you, I'll learn to soliloquize. Let's go on dates and talk about dismantling love's power structures. Forgive my accent, but we can combine my Creole to your patios and speak in languages that only you and I can understand. The glossary is political, and so are the missing translations. This conversation hurts. My mama asked me why. I told her it's because loving men is a toxic habit that I picked up somewhere along the way. They told me to be grateful. You don't know the suffering of the past, as if sisters have not been mourned daily since. Here we still are, experiences mansplained as if they were not ours, as if Black womanhood didn't belong to me. The 3 sections that this poetry collection is split into is Ami, which means me, Karensa, which means love, and Libri, which is free. She talks about amplifying Black voices and recognizing the validity of their experiences. She calls out men, and she calls out particularly white men and white people for the othering, for the discrediting, for the whitewashing her religion. There is one poem in which she is cursing a lot because she's kind of shoving off a predatory man. And the following poem is about her saying that she is constantly told that she curses too much and that's not ladylike, but she combats that by saying she curses exactly how much as she should, and there in her existence and her way of speaking is nobody's problem but her own, and like she curses just fine, thank you. There's also really randomly like a poem dedicated to How I Met Your Mother, and then another one dedicated to Kanye. Those ones felt a little misplaced, but again, they are within the greater realm of her existence. She has lived around the world, and yeah, it was a very interesting read, extremely short, but I'm happy I read it. So because I have some extra time at the end of this month, I've decided to go back and try to complete my failures from previous months, starting with The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi. Now, when I tried to read this in August, I was really struggling because I was really uncomfortable with how much religion talk there was in the book. Completely unnecessary, in my opinion, because I don't like religion, and it was really hard to get through reading the page. But I gave it a big break and I went back and I decided to pick up the audiobook of it to try to, like, you know, force myself to get through it. And honestly, once they started like going out and having the adventure, it got a lot better. I still every once in a while becomes like really heavy on the religion and God speak, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to read this, like I just want to DNF, but then I'm like, all right, no, like go like make a snack or something and push through just this little bit, and then it gets better again. So it remains to be a roller coaster, but today I did pass the 50% mark, and I feel like I'm getting a bit competitive because the audiobook is going to be snatched from me in 2 days, and so I'm like, all right, I need to listen 3 days today, 3 hours today, 3 hours tomorrow, and then we'll get through it. So far, this book, we've been introduced to a lot of characters, but they each have, like, they very much have their own distinguished personality, histories, like, relationships to Amina, relationships to each other, their own histories. It's a very rich tale, and it's especially rich in the way that it's relying on folklore and stories, and yeah, there are some religious stories in there too, but more so folklore and mythology, and that's really fascinating. And so there's a lot of layers to this book. It's also a mystery that it's kind of told in that interview format. and she's like giving us only the amount of information we need, to the point where when something else comes back, she's like, yes, I guess I gotta explain that, and then we have to go back in time to get some things explained. And so you're unraveling the mystery of her life while being told this really epic story. And so it sucks that this reading journey is being so difficult for me in particular with all the religion talk, because this is a very good book. So hopefully we can get that finished in the next day or two before the library snatches it from me. Do you see this? Due in 20 minutes. I did it though. I did it. I had to finish that via audiobook because reading it was just not it for me. As you recall, I read physically up to chapter 5 before I couldn't do it anymore, and I finished the rest of this via audiobook. The ending was satisfactory. I really liked the reveal of the interviewer. That was wonderful. I love the feeling of the band getting back together. It was a pretty good final fight. Overall, the build up was worth it. I confess that I'm still kind of disappointed though it makes sense, but it feels like such a cop-out for the reason why this series is going to continue. And there are going to be more books. I'm assuming there's going to be 4 more books. None of them are out yet. I think the next one comes out in a few months. I do not think I will be continuing with this series because of the religious stuff, but also no, it's mainly that. At one point Amina does go to a magical island. And also, I'm so sorry if you haven't seen my other video and you don't know what I'm talking about. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi basically follows this 40-year-old mother who used to be a nefarious sea pirate and is now been brought back into the world, and she has to leave her daughter behind. And I won't exactly give the reason as to why her adventures must continue, but it feels like such a cop-out because a lot of the first half of the book she was struggling because she really wanted to go back and be a pirate, but she has a daughter and she's been with the daughter for the past 10 years, and a lot of it is her feeling guilty that she wants to be with her daughter and take care of her, but she also really wants to go back to adventuring and being a pirate again. And so for the reason that she will continue this series just feels like a cop-out. She's basically just pushing off those feelings because now she has to keep adventuring and sorry, she has to leave the daughter behind, and I don't know, that just makes me feel icky. I'm also unhappy with how they dealt with one of the main characters because I really like them. And I'm upset that they cast them away again. But anyway, I don't know what I'm gonna rate this. The fact that it's so creative. I forgot to say that at one point in this story, towards the end, Amina does go to a very magical island where it's magical creatures and things. I won't give too much more detail about that, but even these magical creatures still are religious. They are magical, very interesting things, but they are still religious, and they're oh, we can't use our magical powers to help you, but God willing, you'll figure it out yourself, kind of things. And they're yeah, we won't interfere. If the Almighty Father won't save you, then we won't do it either. I'm what the hell? What? I didn't like it. And so when I don't like a book, the fact that I had to push myself through, generally that's a 2-star for me. But that hurts because this book is so creative. But the fact that I really had to push through, I think if you were less religiously traumatized, this might be a higher star for you. But I think based off the rest of my, based on my consistent ratings, I think I'm gonna have to give it a 2 or a 2.5. It was, unfortunate that. So anyway, that's done. This book is stunning. I got it in Europe somewhere, I don't remember where. But I'm unfortunately just gonna have to unhaul this because it's huge and I'm never gonna reread it, and somebody else might really like it. So that is going off there. Let's see what else we can get done before the month ends. Okay, I've made the decision to officially DNF my Estonian book. I am just really uncomfortable is one word, but also I just have negative interest in continuing it. I think I like the idea of tradition versus modernity a lot more than I like the execution of it, because turns out tradition is heavily religious in this particular story, and it's just a little bit weird, and I'm not really somebody who likes weird things, so I've just reached the point where I'm like, you know what, it is not worth it for me to push through this when I have a lot of other books that I'd like to go to, and one day I will go to Estonia and I will read other books there. Like, it's going to be okay. So I am officially going to DNF this book, which sucks. I hate doing that, especially for my country books, but I think it's the right decision. Which means the last book from August that I did not get to is The Firekeeper's Daughter. And so I think I am going to try to start reading this. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, but I think it's calling to me. Alright, I finished part 1 of Firekeeper's Daughter. I'm not entirely sure how many parts there are in this, but I'm 25% of the way in now. I wanted to go into this one blind with just absolutely no expectations. I didn't want to look on Goodreads at reviews or ratings or really anything. I just kind of read the back about what the book was about, and then I jumped right in, and I would say the first 75% of part 1 was a little hard for me to get into, because it felt really juvenile. There's a new guy in town and our main girlie is pretty into him and even though that he has a girlfriend, and so it's constantly like, and you know, she's showing him around town and it's constantly like, oh, you know, the way that, you know, his eyes flash and when he grins, it like settles into me, and like, but I have to remind myself that he has a girlfriend, and so I was like, oh man, this isn't great, but even all the way through it, they put a lot of Sue words and phrases into here, but she is writing it in the way that the new guy in town has Native American heritage, but like he's not connected to it, and so he's like, I have all these questions, will you answer them? And our main girlie is very much a know-it-all. Like, she has a lot of information, she's very intelligent, and so they'll go through like customs or dances or certain smells or foods, and she'll explain like, yeah, this is what this is, here's what it means, here are the words for it, and so we're learning as the readers, but it's in the point that she's telling this newcomer, which is very much appreciated. And thankfully I'm also listening to it, so I'm hearing the words hopefully as to how they're pronounced, and that is definitely helping. I think that would have got me a little bit stuck had I only been reading on page, especially because like this font size is incredibly small. I think that would have slowed me down a little bit, but I've listened just the 25% last night and today. Actually, no, I started today. So it's going very, very well. So I was like, all right, well, this is fascinating. Like one girl's experience, like being, her father is Native American and part of this tribe, but her mother is not. And she was born when her mother was 16. And so they didn't put the father on the birth certificate. And so she's not like fully mainlander, because she has like darker skin, but it's considered very light to the rest of the tribe, and she's not a registered tribe member, and so she's very much on the outs of both sides, and she spends like part of her time on the mainland and part of her time on the island with the tribe. And so all of that setup is really, really fascinating, but I wasn't really sure where the plot was going because as soon as I read the back, like it immediately left my brain. But then the last 25% of part 1, so according to my audiobook, I was 18% of the way in, that's when a murder occurs and we start learning things and she starts figuring things out that I did not see coming at all. And so now suddenly it is a very, very, very different story. It's very tragic and very sad, but to be honest, it is a much better read than the super juvenile like love triangle thing that was happening beforehand. So now it is taking a much darker turn, and I am very excited to see how this is gonna go. Also, I got in the mail my Waterstones exclusive edition of Alchemized. Look how beautiful these sprayed edges are. It continues up to the top and up to the bottom. The end papers and the reversible dust jacket are the same as the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. So really the only difference is the sprayed edges, and look at them together, right? The same size and everything, but then look how much smaller the Barnes & Noble version is, but this one is a lot heavier, like a lot heavier. Barnes & Noble version, the pages are super thin, and Waterstones edition, margins are smaller and the pages are still pretty thin, but they're a little bit thicker. But both of them together are heavy. Those are the updates I have for now. Today is the last day of the month and I am leaving in 2 days for just a weekend trip. So I am hoping that either today or tomorrow I can finish Firekeeper's Daughter. I'm not, like, I don't feel like I'm rushing it. I just feel like I'm sucked in and can keep reading for a very long time. And I lowered the speed, so I'm even at 2x speed when I'm listening to it, which is slower than my normal. Like, that's how into it I am. Okay, so I put in my headphones to continue listening to Firekeeper's Daughter during my dinner, when I was making dinner and eating dinner, and it is now 10:50 at night. I finished my dinner and I came upstairs and I literally just lied down in my bed and stared at the ceiling while I was listening to this book, and I've just finished part 2, and according to the audio, I am now 83% of the way through this book and I'm so close. I think if I keep going I can finish it before midnight. Oh my goodness, there were times in part 2 where I was like, oh my god, I am cringing so hard, like I need to stop, but then I pushed through like to the end of the chapter and then something would happen and like a little bit more of the mystery would be unraveled, or you know, we get new questions that would lead to more questions and I'd be like, no, I have to stay locked into this. Also, this book got darker, unfortunately, and there's a trigger warning that I was not aware was in this book, and it startled the crap out of me. And now we just figured out who the main culprit is, and immediately shit started going down. And so now I only have 2 portions left. If I keep listening to this at 2x speed, I should finish this in about an hour. So oh my god, like I should probably be listening to this or like reading this slower, but at this point I'm just like antsy. I need to know how this goes down. I don't know. Oh my goodness. No thoughts, just need to get to the end right now. This is teetering between cringe and ridiculous levels of like good mystery. Like I need this to be resolved. Yeah, I did it. Read The Firekeeper's Daughter in 1 day. Wow. The action at the end of the book and the reveals and partially the justice, but more so the injustice of the resolution hurt so bad. It hurt so bad because, yes, it happened in the story, but mostly because it's very clear that this type of injustice happens all of the time, and it's so realistic, and it's just, oh, it's so painful how much. Hold on. In her author's note at the end, I want to share what she wrote. The creative spark for Donna's story was ignited when I was in high school and a friend mentioned a new guy at her school who was just my type. Although I never met him, it was later revealed he was actually an undercover narcotics officer. As a teen, I loved reading thrillers, an early favorite being the Nancy Drew series, and I began wondering what would have happened if I had attended that school. What if I liked the new guy and he liked me, or rather, what if he needed my help? The story captured my overactive imagination and stayed with me. So yes, drugs were and probably are and continue to be a large problem on reservations, but more so what really hurt. Later on, she says, however, one all too real aspect of the story is the rampant violence against Native women. More than 4 in 5, 84% Native women have experienced violence in their lifetime, and more than half, 56%, have experienced sexual violence. Nearly all, 97% of the Native women who have experienced violence had at least one non-Native perpetrator. Although it is a difficult and exhausting narrative, I feel it was important to show the painful reality of those experiences, especially within the specific context of the predatory targeting of Native women and the jurisdictional quagmire on tribal lands. But then, I think the best description of this book is the very next sentence. There's an important distinction between writing about trauma and writing about a tragedy. I sought to write about identity, loss, and injustice, and also of love, joy, connection, friendship, hope, laughter, and the beauty and strength in my Ojibwe community. It was paramount to share and celebrate what justice and healing looks like in a tribal community. Cultural events, language revitalization, ceremonies, traditional teachings, whisper networks, blanket parties, and numerous other ways tribes have shown resilience in the face of adversity. First of all, she is the formal director of the Office of Indian Education at the U.S. Department of Education. And in her acknowledgments, she credits a lot of her sources that helped her write this book, including former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Michigan, Associate Professor of Criminal Justice at Lake Superior State University, a former FBI agent, Chief of Police, and several tribes members from her tribe that she is enrolled in, and several other, including some scientists. So not only is she just incredibly intelligent, but she gathered around a team of people that could actually give her real lived experiences, and that's probably why this book felt so real and so genuine. Not only from her own lived experiences, but from those of the people that she talked to while creating this book. It hurts how realistic this book is from start to finish. And really, this would be a 5-star if it weren't for the the multiple really cringy moments of a super YA romance, because in part it is that, but that only takes place in the greater context of these lived experiences. If you can handle the content warnings that I'll put on the screen right now, I cannot recommend this book enough. And there is another book. It's called Warrior Girl on Earth, and it says Return to the World of Firekeeper's Daughter. I have no clue what it's going to be about and if it's going to continue the story of our main character, and that would be wonderful. She has a really great life trajectory at the end of this book. Really, I feel pride in the way that she is going to remain a bridge between her two halves of her identity, while also choosing herself in both ways. Yeah. I'm so happy that I finally picked this book up. And with that, I think at this point we're about 4 minutes into October, but I am going to count this as a huge success. Not only did we completely complete September's TBR, but we went back and completed August's TBR, and I am so happy with that. Even though I'm almost certain I filmed every one of these updates sitting in this exact spot, so I didn't really leave the house much at all except for when I was driving for my weddings. That is a-okay to me. Getting back into the swing of things, coming back home, is totally fine, and I am really looking forward to the reading vlogs that I have planned for October. It is officially autumn. I don't know where the heck summer went. This feels way too fast, but I am thrilled with all of the books that I have coming up and all the videos. So thank you so much for watching all the way through to this point, and I will see you in the next video.